If your plan is to one day live off dividends, to stop work and let your share portfolio quietly pay your bills, there's one number you have to get right, and your fund hopes you never check it. Because before a single dollar of dividends reaches you, your fund takes its cut. And that cut doesn't just shave a little off the top. It can mean you need almost $300,000 more invested to retire on the exact same income. This hits millions of Australians with super or share funds. 3 numbers decide whether your dividend plan works: your yield, your fees, and the balance you need to hit. Get the fee wrong and you undershoot by 6 figures. So today we'll do 3 moves: benchmark your fund's fees, model how much they cost your future income, and map your real dividend-only target after fees. Here's the number that starts it all. The average total fee charged by Australian super funds in 2023 was 0.96% a year. That's administration, investment, and advice combined, according to Rainmaker's industry fee study cited by ASIC's Money Smart. The cheapest quartile of funds charged 0.68%. The most expensive charged 1.35%. But here's the part nobody tells you. That gap doesn't stay small. Over a career, it explodes. 3 moves. Benchmark your fund's fees, model the fee drag on your income, then map your real dividend-only number. Each takes under 20 minutes and every tool is free. Here's the mechanism. When you picture living off dividends, you anchor on the headline. ASX 200 companies have historically delivered a grossed-up dividend yield, including franking credits, of around 5 to 6%. But Apira data and industry studies show a typical balanced option charges around 0.9 to 1% a year in fees, and high-fee options 1.3% or more according to ASIC's Money Smart. That fee comes off your yield first, quietly, automatically, before you see a cent. So watch what happens to that headline. A 5.5% grossed-up yield becomes a net 4.5% after a 1% fee, or just 4.2% after a 1.3% fee. And that's before tax, using ASIC Money Smart and ASX yield figures. Same shares, same dividends paid by the same companies. The only difference is how big a slice your fund takes on the way through. And that slice decides how much capital you need to build. Now the second layer, and this is the one that really compounds. That fee doesn't just shrink today's income, it shrinks the pot that will ever earn you dividends. ASIC's Money Smart warns that even an extra 1% in fees can make a big difference to your balance over time. Take a 30-year-old on $80,000, contributing 12%, earning 7% before fees. 0.2% fund lands near $1.15 million. A 1.2% fund near $0.99 million. Modelled on Money Smart assumptions. That's about $160,000 less at retirement, purely from a 1% higher fee, in line with ASIC and Money Smart's own warnings. And in dividend terms, it bites forever. At a 4.5% net yield, $1.15 million pays about $51,750 a year, while $0.99 million pays just $44,550. That's a $7,000 a year pay cut in retirement every single year you live, using ASFA and ASX yield figures over a 25-year retirement. That's roughly $175,000 in lost income. Here's the myth that traps people. The belief, if I just build a $750,000 share portfolio, I can live off dividends forever on $50,000 a year. The fact, using ASIC and ASFA figures, at a realistic net yield after fees, most Australians need close to $1 to $1.3 million to sustainably draw an ASFA comfortable income from dividends alone. That $750K rule actually implies a 6.7% drawdown. It quietly assumes you eat your capital. So put the two costs side by side. Just moving from a low-fee option to a 1.3% high-fee fund means you need almost $300,000 more invested to produce the same income, using ASFA 2025 and ASX yield figures. And the fee strips around $160,000 off your final balance over a working life, modelled on ASIC Money Smart assumptions. The fee costs you twice, before retirement and after. Let me show you a real example. Meet Sarah. She's 42. a marketing manager earning $110,000 a year. She's got $220,000 in a large retail super fund, plus $80,000 in an Aussie equity fund outside super. She wants to stop full-time work at 65, that's 23 years away, and live off dividends only at roughly the ASFA comfortable level of about 5,523s a year. Here's what Sarah found when she did the maths. Discovery 1. Sarah had a number in her head, $750,000, from rules of thumb she'd seen in calculators and Facebook groups. But using a realistic 5.5% gross, 4.5% net yield after an average 1% fee, she learned she actually needs about $1.24 million invested to draw $5,923 a year in dividends alone, using ASFA 2025 and ASX yield figures. That's an extra $490,000 she has to build, or accept a lot less income. Discovery 2, and this one stung. Checking her statement and PDS, Sarah found her super option charges 1.20% a year in total versus low fee index options at around 0.10 to 0.20% per ASIC Money Smart. Running her numbers through the Money Smart planner, staying at 120% leaves her near $720,000 by 65, but switching to a 0.20% index option lifts her to around $870,000. That's $150,000 lost to fees alone. Discovery 3. The one she hoped would save her. Her dividends will be largely franked, and the ATO confirms fully franked dividends carry a franking credit of 30% of company profit, which offsets her tax. But even with franking, ASIC and ATO figures show a 1% higher fee cancels most of that advantage. Switching from a 1.2 to a 0.2% fund leaves her with about 0.8 to 1% more net yield, worth $8,000 to $10,000 a year on $1 million portfolio. Add it all up for a Sarah-type investor, and the combined hit is around $325,000. That's roughly $180,000 in a smaller pot at retirement, plus a conservative $145,000 of lost dividend income across a 25-year retirement, modelled on ASIC Money Smart and ASFA assumptions. 1% higher fees, $350,000 gone, just from a line in a PDS most people never read. So could this be you? 3 signs. 1, you've never checked your fund's total fee in the PDS. 2, you don't know your real net of fee dividend yield. And 3, you're planning your retirement around a $750,000 rule of thumb. If any of those apply, the next 3 moves are exactly for you. 3 moves. Let's actually do them. Move 1. Benchmark your fund's fees because you can't fix a number you've never seen. Log into MyGov, link the ATO service, and open the Super tab to list every fund and balance you hold. Then open your fund's PDS and find the fees and costs table. Add up investment, admin, and indirect costs into one annual percentage. That's your real number. This is general information, not personal advice. 3 quick steps. Open MyGov, go to ATO, then Super, and list all your funds. Find the fees and costs table in your fund's PDS. Then run your age and balance through the free Your Super comparison tool what good looks like. A total fee under 0.60 to 0.70%. Anything above 1% for a balanced option is a red flag. Move 2. Quantify what those fees are doing to your retirement income using ASIC's free Money Smart retirement planner. Enter your age, income, current balance, and your actual fund fee from the PDS, and note the projected balance and annual income at your target age. Then change only the fee, drop it to 0.2%, and rerun it. The difference is the price of staying put. 3 steps. Input your age, income, balance, and current PDS fee into the planner. Record the projected balance and annual income at 65. Then drop the fee to 0.2 to 0.5% and rerun the projection. What good looks like? If cutting fees lifts your projected balance by $100,000 or more, that's a strong signal to consider switching. Move 3, and map your live off dividends target properly, net of fees. Look up the latest ASFA retirement standard for your situation. About $55,993 a year for a comfortable single homeowner. Decide whether you'll draw down capital and lean on the age pension or go dividends only. If it's dividends only, pick a net yield around 4.5% for a typical fee fund, 5.3 to 5.4% for low-fee ETFs. 3 steps. Find your ASFA budget figure. 55,223 a year, comfortable single. Pick your net yield. 4.5% high fee, 5.3 to 5.4% low fee. Then divide your income by that yield to get your capital target. What good looks like? Your projected balance meets the target, or you've got a clear drawdown plus pension plan. Why now? Because the rules already moved in your favour. In 2013, MySuper launched low-cost default products under APRA fee oversight, making comparisons meaningful. From 2019, ASX Money Smart calculators and the ATO's Your Super tool under your future. Your Super put fee and performance differences out in the open. And from 2021, APRA's annual performance test began publicly naming underperformers. Funds that failed were barred from taking new members until they improved. The tools are free, regulator-built, and waiting. After you act, verify it's stuck. You should see one combined fee figure under about 0.70%. Confirm your Money Smart projection actually rose after the switch. And if your target still exceeds your projection, set a top-up plan now rather than later. That's how you know the move worked. Everything today comes from ASIC's Money Smart, the ASFA retirement standard, APRA data, and the ATO. All linked below so you can check the numbers yourself. Today, you learned your real dividend number after fees and the 3 free tools to fix it. Next week, the franking credit refund most retirees forget to claim. If this saved you from a 6-figure mistake, subscribe, because we read the fine print so you don't have to.